To the Ed Show. President Obama's re-election team wants to remind voters how far we've come since the president's inauguration, when the country was on the edge of an economic cliff. Next week, the campaign will release a 17-minute film about the president's accomplishments in his first term. Here's a preview.
Do we look at the day's headlines, or do we remember what we as a country have been through?
What was described in that meeting was an economic crisis beyond anything anybody had imagined.
If the auto industry goes down, what happens to America's manufacturing base? What happens to jobs in America? What happens to the whole Midwest?
Of course, the president has been on a roll lately, 23 consecutive months of private sector job growth, winning a battle with the GOP on extending the payroll tax cut and unemployment benefits, unveiling more help for homeowners across America, and winning a fight over women's health in which Republican leaders looked reactionary and afraid to stand up to Rush Limbaugh. I'm joined tonight by Ben LaBolt, National Press Secretary for the Obama re-election campaign. Ben, good to have you with us tonight. I've seen the excerpts. Obviously, you haven't seen it. You're going to be releasing it soon. It's intense, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is about the tough calls that the president made in the face of historic challenges over the past 3 years, but it's also about the journey that the nation's been on. We were losing 750,000 jobs a month when the president took office. The auto industry was on the brink shortly thereafter. The markets were crashing, and we've now created more than 3.7 million private sector jobs. We've passed Wall Street reform to prevent another financial crisis from happening, and you know, certainly made significant progress on the foreign policy front, ending the war in Iraq in a responsible way and taking the fight to al-Qaeda. And this documentary will actually take you in the room into the decision-making behind the decision to get bin Laden.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a big reminder to the country on what a nosedive we were on when President Obama stepped in the Oval Office. I mean, is that it in a nutshell? And then just to document how far we've come since then, hoping that that is going to be enough to turn back a lot of money that's going to be thrown at this campaign when it comes to Citizens United. What about all that?
Well, you're right about the money. I mean, the special interests have said that they're going to spend $500 million in an attempt to defeat the president. The Koch brothers, oil companies out there, billionaire oil executives are going to spend $200 million alone. American Crossroads, Karl Rove's groups have said that it'll spend $300 million. And you know what this is about.
Yeah,
this is about oil and gas companies trying to maintain their subsidies.
Sure. So, Ben, what are your expectations? How many people do you think are going to watch the full 17 minutes, and how impactful do you think it's going to be?
Well, my hope is that 17 minutes isn't too much time to ask. If another campaign releases a 17-minute documentary, I will reserve 17 minutes of my time. But our supporters across the country will be screening this next week. In some cases, it'll be right there in their homes. In some cases, it'll be in local restaurants and even in movie theaters across the country.
Here's one of Mitt Romney's favorite lines criticizing the president. I want you to respond to this. Here it is.
When he took office, the economy was in recession, and he made it worse, and he made it last longer.
Will President Obama push back hard on this line? Because, you know, that's what Romney's going to use often.
Well, it's certainly intellectually dishonest. We were losing 750,000 jobs a month, and the entire economy was on the brink when the president took office, and we've created more than 3.7 million private sector jobs. Sure. The question is why Mitt Romney is trying to run as a job creator. Take a look at his record in Massachusetts. 47th out of 50th in job creation. Manufacturing jobs declined to twice the national average after he cut funding for the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and as a corporate buyout specialist in the private sector, he profited off of bankrupting companies and outsourcing jobs.
Does it help when Mitt Romney displays such a stunning lack of leadership on everything from his tax plan that he says can't be scored to failing to stand up to Rush Limbaugh and make a real judgment about what is acceptable vernacular on talk radio to the point where it's not insulting? What about all that? Is that a lack of leadership?
You raise an important point about the tax plan, which hasn't gotten a lot of attention. His tax plan, which would extend and expand tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans and large corporations, costs $5 trillion. And he's telling the American people he will not explain how he's going to pay for that before Election Day. And he has two options: raise the deficit by $5 trillion or cut programs that are essential to the middle class, that would mean a 40% cut to Social Security for current workers. And in terms of Limbaugh, I mean, this is a manifestation of where the Republican Party is right now. Instead of focusing on the issues that the American people are focused on, creating jobs and restoring economic security for the middle class.
That's what it's about.
They've actually had a debate over rolling back the rights of women to make their own decisions about their health care. Are we really having that debate in 2012?
Well, I think I got it figured out. 17 minutes is one bag of popcorn. Ben, way to go. Good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ed.